All right. Welcome to another Eye on Okaloosa show. I am just a guy with a camera in the street, with a camera on the streets, introducing you to interesting people, places, and things. I only have one eye on Okaloosa. My other eye's on a lot of other stuff. So I always need you folks to get with me, send me a message, call me. If there's something that you want me to keep my eye on, give me a heads up, and I will be happy to do that, as does my very good friend David Triana, who is with Making Connections, which is part of the Connections Media Group. Making Connections is a show that David does every month, and we try to do every month, where he interviews interesting people also. And so he knows I got my eye on Okaloosa. He's got his eye on everything from Mobile, Alabama to Tallahassee, because that's just how large the Latino reach that he has with Connections Media Group and the Making Connections show. So David, welcome. Let me get your picture up here on the screen and see if we can't find you somewhere. There you go. David Triana, how are you?
At home over here, enjoying myself and taking the time out to come together with you in unity, as we like to do with these shows. You know, Eye on Okaloosa is awesome. We're trying to make Making Connections just as awesome as yours. And we got a great guest today. As you mentioned, this is a Connection Media Group interview show. And we do this at least once a month. And we like to bring, like you said, interesting people from throughout the area here. In this case, Jamie Wells. And then we also like to bring people that are doing stuff nationally and internationally, as we did with the last couple of interviews that we did together. So it's all about unity and community, right, Ken?
It's all about me and the community. That's right, it really is.
That's right.
And that's how we've reached over 35,000 followers, because we do a lot with our community. But I'm very, very intrigued by the gentleman that we have on your show this evening, which is Jamie Wells, and what he does. And folks, in the second part of the show, David and Jamie are going to talk about an event that Jamie's got coming here to the Panhandle of Florida that is very, very amazing. And Jimmy's going to tell you how you can get involved in that, how you can maybe attend it if you'd like. I think it's a dinner. But I'll let Jamie go into more detail about that. So let's bring Jamie on the screen and talk about what the heck he's got going. So Jamie Wells in the center, thank you for joining us this evening. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate being out and meeting other great folks like yourselves that are doing things within the community.
Defenders of Freedom, Florida. That gives me the indication that there's a Defenders of Freedom somewhere else. So tell us a little bit about Defenders of Freedom, Florida, and overall where this organization, how far they reach out. Are you there?
The Freedom.
Yeah. Tell us about Defenders of Freedom.
Okay, so Defenders of Freedom, I run the Florida chapter. Our primary role is to help combat veteran suicide. Our main focus is post 9/11 veterans. We do morale building events. We do counseling events for the veterans. We also work with our local other VSOs in the area. And our main attraction or main focus is our TBI, traumatic brain injury. We have a leading edge center in Texas, in Coppell, the resiliency brain treatment that we send folks to. It's a 2-week program. And it's been instrumental in changing folks' lives that struggle with traumatic brain injury. Now, back to Defenders of Freedom itself. We are nationwide. Our headquarters is in Dallas, Texas, Coppell, Texas, just outside of Dallas, and it's been since 2004. Their main focus is the TBI Center as well. They also do help with financial assistance, and they got their start initially in 2004 at the Dallas airport. Every single flight that came.
Jamie will be back.
So when we got our start in Dallas, Donna Cranston, who's the founder, every flight, Afghanistan or Iraq, that came into Dallas, she had folks there at the airport to cheer them on and to let them know they were appreciated. And then she just wanted to do more for our patriots. So she continued to add the financial assistance, and now she does the Traumatic Brain Injury Center there. That's fully funded by our donors. We also have Defenders of Freedom Pittsburgh. And the great news, one of my good friends, Brian Hughes, is in the works right now within the next month or so, opening up Defenders of Freedom Kansas City. So we're continuing to grow throughout the region, but I focus on Florida veterans, but our national alliance there in Texas can reach anybody from any of the states.
That's just amazing. And so, how can folks get in touch with you? You work off of donations, I guess. So let's talk a little bit about that and how folks can get involved, and maybe help you with your with some of the things that you do.
Yes, sir. So right off the bat, we tell folks all the time that the two biggest things that we use or that we say, one is it's collaboration versus competition. We're here for the veterans. We don't anybody from Defenders of Freedom Florida does not have a salary. It's all volunteer. And all the money that we receive from our donors specifically goes for veteran services. And if folks want to get involved, of course, monetary donations and in-kind donations are helpful. They can go FL.U. We appreciate time over money. Folks that are able to give their time to come show these veterans that they're appreciated. Sometimes to show folks within the community, they want to know, I want to help veterans, I just don't know where. Or there's so many organizations, who do we support? We'd like you to come to the Defenders of Freedom. And the good part about Defenders of Freedom Florida, or Defenders of Freedom as a whole, is we don't claim or we don't look for large formations. In other words, a veteran is a veteran. If you're a post 9/11 veteran, you are our people. It doesn't matter what organization you belong to. And just to capitalize on that, this year alone, we've sent 4 veterans to our brain treatment center here locally from Crestview, Fort Walton area. That program that we've sent 4 veterans from here in Fort Walton, Crestview area were not Defenders of Freedom folks. And that's a $10,000 program worked off our donations. So that just goes to show you don't have to be one of us. You don't have to swear allegiance. If you're a post 9/11 veteran and you're in trouble, you have traumatic brain injury issues, anxiety, depression, PTSD, we can help. And
How many members do you have? How many members do you have Florida-wide?
So Florida-wide right now, we're probably sitting at only about 25 actual members. I have 4 board members. 2 are here in the state. The other 2 are outside the state. But the complex region about that, or the best explanations for that is, like I said, we don't hold formations. We put on events, and we have as long. So
I think we still got a pretty bad interconnection with you, Jamie, because you keep dropping out. Your screen keeps raising. Are you hardwired to an internet? Or are you using a wireless?
No, I'm hardwired.
Okay. Had to speak to those folks there in Milton about their connection. Hey, so when you were given how to get in touch with you, the email address, website, you froze up. So do that again real quick while I'm thinking about it, so people know how to reach you.
Yes, sir. Defenders of Freedom FL.US is our webpage. Defenders of Freedom.US is our headquarters page from Texas. And then our Facebook is Defenders of Freedom Florida.
So how many events a year do you think you may do?
Well, right now we focus primarily on about 6. We've already had 2 powerlifting competitions, so we do different things to bring folks out from both the community as well as the veterans. November 6th in Crestview, we have our next powerlifting event. It's USPA sanctioned, United States Powerlifting Association. We've already got 75 lifters. So that's closed out an event. Yes. Wow. So we have that at Warrior Hall in Crestview on the 6th of November. We just did, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, we just did our first outdoor primitive skills event. I don't know if you're familiar with Discovery Channel's Naked and Afraid, but we had 4 cast members from Naked and Afraid come out. We did fire, water, shelter, building, and trapping techniques. And then the veterans in the community got to go out and actually perform those events. And there was such great feedback. We're going to do another primitive outdoor skills in February. And one of the gentlemen who owns a dojo there in Crestview talked to the city mayor and the city manager of Crestview, and they want to actually help host our next event because they've had such great feedback from it.
Where would
Hey, Ken.
what
Ken,
what
let me
kind of
ask you a
facility
question
do you
regarding
need
that.
to do an event like that?
So we used, luckily, the Florida.
Froze up.
Just
Sorry, we had a disconnect there. The Florida Forestry Department allowed us to use their Holt facility, which used to be a forestry department training center. Had great facilities out there. We had dorms for the cast members to spend the night. Folks came out. We had Pounders Hawaiian Grill as a spot.
Oh, my favorite.
I love it.
Yep. All right. So we had Pounders Hawaiian Grill as our dinner meal. Everyone loved it. And when we do our powerlifting events, we always do that, and it sells out. That's the best. And then we had our lunch provided as well. We had a lot of sponsors for that event. So then that's when we talk about not only volunteers or donations, sometimes it's just the organization that come together. Small things that turn into big things. Waste Pro Management, for example, dropped off a 10-tray trash can for our event free of charge and picked it up on Monday so that we could keep the facilities clean. Just phenomenal folks that come together for us.
Let me ask. I want to know more about this powerlifting, only because I don't know if David told you what I mainly do for a living is I live stream, and I live stream events. I live stream everything from murders, wrecks, and fires to sporting events to civic meetings, just everything. These types of shows. So maybe we could talk about live streaming that. Not during the show, but I want to just throw this out there and have you chew on it for a few days. Live streaming the power event in Crestview. I might be interested in doing that.
Yeah, so we'd love to have you out. Like I said, it's sorry. So our event is the Defenders of Freedom Florida Ryan Blackwell Classic. We named it after Ryan Blackwell. For those that know the active shooting that happened at NAS last year, Ryan was shot, several times while helping other service members escape and be protected. He's going to come out and issue the first and second place trophies, and it's a name in his honor. And then we'll also have the Michelle Caldwell from the Women's Monument that's going to be there in Pensacola at the train station. They've come aboard another collaboration, and it's going to be a great event. We've already got 75 powerlifters. Like I said, that event is locked out. We can't have any more competitors, but the community will be there. It's at the Warder Hall Community Center. We'll have Pounders Hawaiian Grill again. We know our T-shirts will be there. We'll have flyers, and it'll be a great hosted event.
Now, are both men and women powerlifting?
Oh yes. In fact, we have two trophies that we give out specifically besides the normal awards. The Captain Mike McKinnon Award, which goes for one of my commanders who was lost in Iraq. And then we have the Alana Deirdre Angulu for the strongest female. So both of those to continue remembrance of those veterans that we've lost in the past.
Well, I know that David wants to get in on this, and so I won't ask any more about that. But I'm going to call you this week, and I want to coordinate with you just the logistics, to see if it's possible for me to do that. I just need to know a little bit more about the event, the logistics of it, the technical logistics, see if it's something that I would be able to do. So I'm going to go back to our other co-host here, my good friend David Triana, and because I know David wants to talk to you more about the event that's happening in Milton that's coming up. And Jamie, I don't know how you got this fella, how you met your guest speaker at this event and all, but I'm pumped. This is really I find it really interesting. I'm a news junkie, so I stay on the news channels, and I just find it really interesting that this gentleman is going to come, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say, and hopefully we'll get him on this show maybe sometime this week if possible. He can come in remotely from where he's at right now. If need be, so you can maybe help us reach out to him and see what he's got going. So, David, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk to Jimmy about this event, exciting event that's coming up near the end of this week.
Thank you very much, Ken. What we're going to do is we're going to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to come back and continue our conversation with Jamie Wells of the Defenders of Freedom Florida organization and talk about those events that they have coming up in the first part of October. We'll be right back.
The Pensacola Interstate Fair is coming for 11 big days with opening dollar day, $1 admission, and $1 rides. Free shows featuring Rodney Atkins.
I've been watching you.
Eliminator KC, tribute to ZZ Top, White Tie Rock Ensemble, Jordan Chase, Night Fevers, Evening with the Bee Gees, and Resurrection, tribute to Journey. Over 60 great rides, Cirque Maceo, plus Friday Midnight Madness with unlimited rides. For half-price admission tickets, $5 off-ride wristbands, go to PensacolaFair.com. The fair, where memories are made.
Do you want to advertise to thousands of Hispanics and non-Hispanics in Northwest Florida and Southern Alabama?
¿Quieres promover tu empresa y producto a miles de hispanos y no hispanos?
Connection is your most cost-efficient way to do so.
Conexión es tu solución.
We are the largest English and Spanish publication in our region. Our primary mission is to inform, guide, and educate our readers via interesting content.
Somos la publicación mensual en español y en inglés de la más grande distribución en toda la región. Además de las 5,000 copias en papel, tenemos activas las redes sociales, incluyendo Facebook, Twitter e Instagram, y también por Internet.
Conexión is your bridge to connect you to the growing Hispanic market in the region. Call us.
Llámanos.
Sigma can help your books become less stressful. Numbers are the heart of this company. We will concentrate on growing your business, turning your vision into value. We will keep your finances on track so you can concentrate on what's important, your customers. Your numbers are our strength. We will help you reduce your tax liability. Hiring us to do your accounting just adds up. Our mission is to serve you with integrity and commitment to provide you with solid financial support. We will give you quality service and quality accounting because results do matter. We will not stop until the job is done. You can relax while we do the math. Your success is our business. We will guide you every step of the way. You can count on us.
We are back with Making Connections and our combination show with Iona Calusa, and I'm going to continue our conversation with Jamie Wells, the CEO of Defenders of Freedom Florida, because I want to talk to him about that concept, that statement that he mentioned, which I thoroughly believe in, and I know Ken does also. He mentioned that his organization's one of their adages, one of their mantras is collaboration versus competition. I know you mentioned already what you meant by that, Jamie, but that's what it's all about, my friend. Don't you think, the ability to be able to come together, missions may be similar or different. It doesn't matter. You can collaborate with each other and make things better. What do you think about that?
No, I 100% agree, and that's what we say. If you're truly about, especially for what we do, if you're about the community or about the veteran, then you should be working together. If you're not, or if you're in a competition or afraid of sharing that information, then you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons.
I agree with you, my friend. And I want to go back a little bit about you also, because, you're not just a regular dude, you have a great acumen, a great background. I know you served in the military. You served in the military for 24 years with the U.S. Army, retired. I'm an Air Force retired guy, so I know kind of what it feels like to serve for so many years throughout the world. I moved 10 times. I traveled throughout, probably 40 countries. Tell me a little bit about you, Jamie, as far as your military, because I'm sure the military had something to do with what you do now, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I did 24 years in the Army, as an infantry ranger, retired as sergeant major. I love what I did. But like many veterans, when I got out of the military, I kind of didn't have a source of belonging. I felt out of place, and I just
Stick with us, folks. We're gonna he'll come back.
And so I wanted to help other veterans. And so when I retired, I reached out to my friend Donna Cranston, who runs Defenders of Freedom Florida, and I said, I want to start another organization to help veterans. And her best advice she gave me, thank goodness, was there's so many out there recommend not starting a new nonprofit from the scratch. Why don't you open a chapter of Defenders of Freedom in Florida and help Florida veterans in an organization that's already established? And I couldn't believe that she'd offer that to me. So I jumped on the event, jumped and got the stuff started last year. And in June, we just hit a 1 year mark. And it's been about the veterans the whole time. We serve the post 9/11 veterans. And I always tell them, I go to the events myself to make sure before we send somebody so that it works. But also, like, I'm not just the CEO. I'm not just a business guy. I'm one of you. I served 24 years, 4 years in Iraq, multiple other deployments. Had 6 kids while I was in the military, so I know the stressors of Army life with deployments and raising children. And I want to help veterans with every fiber in my body. And I found my home. And there's
for that information, Jamie, because some of the key things that you mentioned there, that just not just anybody can do the kind of things that you've done in the military, being an infantryman, being a ranger, and then growing in a sense, or going through the ranks all the way up to sergeant major. That is a major accomplishment, no pun intended, in the Army for sure. I worked with many great Army personnel, and I met thousands of them, obviously, throughout the career that I've had myself in the Air Force. You also have a big little Army component there in your home, right? You got 4 girls and 2 boys, 8 grandchildren. So you got a great family there too. Let's talk a little bit, Jamie, about that collaboration versus competition, because you are friends with an incredible individual that is going to be coming to our area, and you were able to connect him to another organization that is going to have a retreat for those persons that they serve. Can you tell us a little bit about your friend Hamady?
Not only soldier and warrior, but a person. He was in Iraq. He is the youngest sergeant major in Iraqi history. At 12, 13, he'll share with his story, but he was put in a political prison, went through torture and abuse. Later was freed, became a military member, and worked not only as a Iraqi sergeant major, but as a spy, an inside view for the U.S. forces there at the administrative. I met I met him this year at our golf tournament, and we just hit it off. We fought in some of the same areas within Iraq. We shared some of the same stories, and then my friend Penny was going to run with Healing Tools for Warriors the retreat, and it's about resiliency. And I told her, I know just the guy that would be perfect for this, that's on a book tour right now. And she asked if you could get him, that'd be amazing. So that's how brothers work. I reached out to Hamady and asked would he come, and he said, yep, as long as you can get me there, get a ticket to there, I'll come and speak. And so he's going to speak at that event, and we figured why we had him here so that the community could get involved. We would go ahead and host a dinner Friday in Milton at the hangar so that folks could come and hear his message, because it resonates not only with military but civilian as well.
Brotherhood at work, right? An Army veteran like you, with was he in the Army, Hamady, in the Iraqi Army? Can you hear me, Jamie?
Yes, that's what I said. Yeah, Hamady is a fellow sergeant major.
Oh, so he's a fellow sergeant major, so that's the Iraqi Army also equipped. So that brotherhood, regardless of nation in this sense, because you guys work together for the same common purpose in a sense in Iraq, as he was assisting the U.S. military with the great stuff that he did. Can we go a little bit further into some of the background of Hamady, if you don't mind, anything that you, any additional things that you can tell us about him?
Well, like I said, one that he showed resiliency at a young age. Like I said, at an early age, he was put into a prison, politically abused, tortured. His whole goal was he wanted to be in the military one day. When the U.S. forces came to Iraq and he was freed, he later joined the Army, accelerated, like I said, and got promoted. And he's worked with, the CIA, General Petraeus' involvement with, at the senior level. Some of his information and briefings even made it to the presidential briefings. So very connected, very intelligent as a young service member. And he loves being in America too. And he has a story that he shares, not only his story, but for those that question about what we did in Iraq or was it worth it for the veterans, he delivers a story about how the Iraqi people are so grateful, and they still talk about the Americans that came and changed their lives forever. And it's just powerful. I mean, I have goosebumps talking about it. And I wanted people to hear that message, especially with the drawdown from Afghanistan and people in doubt or are having issues. He delivers a speech that makes you very thankful for what we've done.
And that is so important, Jamie, what you just mentioned, because yes, with the drawdown in Afghanistan, there's a lot of conversations going on out there, a lot of arguments, a lot of disappointment per se from different people for different reasons. It doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. What makes people tick and argue about things. My point is that people like Hamady and maybe a person in Afghanistan who was one of those people we were trying to help, they're really the only ones that can speak and say from the heart what it really meant for us to be there to do our job and help them, correct? I mean, they're the ones that suffered as children through the bad parts of that nation per se, Iraq in this case, and they're the ones that also saw the great things that the U.S. military was doing for those nations. Do you agree with that?
And
David, I think he's froze up again.
Yep. Sorry, I missed that last part, David. If you could ask that last question.
People like Hamady who lived it from childhood, being under the boot, as they say, on the tyrants, and their families and their friends, got maybe put in jail or killed or whatever. And then, we go in there and try to liberate the people from that tyrant and make it a better nation. And in a sense, I think, those are the people that we should be listening to, and the people that lived it, the military people that lived it, should be the ones that we should be listening to about, was it worth it or was it not? Not just regular John over here in the U.S. who hasn't even touched, that nation or has experienced it. That's just my feeling, maybe, but that's why it's so great to hear it from the source, in this case, Hamady, about what was going on there, what he did, and what the U.S. military was doing to help this nation. What do you think about this?
No, 100%. My children are half Hawaiian Filipino, and so the children, the children there reminded me of my own. And it helped me keep sanity while I was there, because those kids look like my kids. And so even in rough times, I was able to find peace. And one thing that I used to do was take photos with families and the little kids. And he looked at some of my photos and he said, man, that's it right there. He said, when you see a soldier in uniform and the families in traditional garb eating dinner or hugging, holding hands, that's the message. And it just gave me goosebumps, because I was like, that's what kept me going all 4 of my tours, was those kids look like my kids. Those people could be my relatives. And so it helped me have a perspective of understanding better.
And since time immemorial, in every war that we've been to outside of the United States, it is the military and the GI that does that kind of stuff that you are saying, man. Because you see it all through the history of the United States and the fights that we have to go into outside of our nation, outside of our land, where the GIs are right there. Hey, they're fighting the enemy, as best as they can, and we are the best fighting force in the world. But we're still taking care of the people in many ways on a one-on-one basis, and especially the kids. Those pictures, from way back, World War One, Two, Three, World War One or Two, or Iraq or whatever, you always see that GI taking care of the people, of the kids especially, in many ways. Like you were giving them candy and school supplies and sports equipment, things like that. Man, I love that. That's one of the best parts that I love about being in the military, being able to be out there doing that kind of stuff for other nations, other kids especially.
Yes, sir. Yeah, 100% agree.
And so in Hamady will be coming in on the 1st, I believe. Also, there's a couple other activities going on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that activity that your organization and along with others are doing prior to him being with the Healing Tools for Warriors retreat?
Right. So he'll fly in Thursday, and Friday, the 1st of October, we're going to co-host a dinner at the Hangar Restaurant off Avalon in Milton with Emerald Coast Wounded Warriors and my good friend Rob Vickers, as well as John Mills with Liberty Speaks. And all three of us came together to put this dinner together. It'll be hosted in the back. You can hear Hamady speak. We'll have a spaghetti dinner there. It's $25 a seat. We have sponsors available for sponsored tables. And it's just for folks to get the message, to be able to hear an opportunity. And, of course, we have his book, The Terrorist Whisperer, which is what he's known and doing his currently book tour on. He'll be signing those books and taking photos with folks that are interested. And so it's just a great opportunity for something local in the community.
Right. Do you have the website for the book and or for Hamady that we can tell the listening audience about?
I can pass that on for a later portion. Hamady has his own website, but for us, they can also contact us. We have books available, and John has 60 books for that evening that are available. So if somebody reaches out to us and wants the book, we have 60 on hand. I have a capability of getting another 100 books if needed. So I'll get his information to you. But if they reach out to me at Defenders of Freedom FL at gmail.com, I can get them the book as well.
Hey, Jimmy, perhaps you can also, after this program, post it in the comment section. How to do that? If you'll do that, then people will be watching this for the next week or so. They can go ahead and reach out to you and post your contact info and post his contact info in there so that people can get out and get that.
Let's do that for sure, because that way, hopefully, some people will be inspired to go and participate at the event in Milton, and we'll find out if the wonderful lady that is running the other organization is listening. We'll ask her to also post. Ms. Pinkton, if she's listening, Healing Tools for Warriors Retreat 2021, if she can also post in the comments of this interview whether her events are open to the public or not, and if she needs some help, support, sponsorships, or all of that, to let us know, and we'll get the word out through the online system. Ken, I'm going to be closing here soon, but do you have any questions for Jamie before I ask you, before I make a couple other comments on how I met Jamie, because it's all about connection.
No, I'm good. I have really enjoyed this conversation with Jamie, and I'm hoping, Jamie, that we can get Hamady to maybe come on the show virtually from somewhere, if not before he comes for his dinner engagement, maybe afterwards, just so we can get our own little show with him and ask him some questions. And then the only other thing is, I want to bug you about that powerlifting thing. I'm going to remind you, I'm going to call you this week because I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, like I said, Hamady, definitely, whether it's before or after the event, Hamady will definitely come on air. He's interested in talking with you and David. And then just a side bit on that before David takes back over was I know last year when we did the event, there are capabilities to stream live because our friends at Fortis Fitness, they went live stream to film it for other folks. So it's definitely capabilities are there. And like I said, if you're interested in doing that, it's our event, so it's open. We'd love to have you out.
Well, the only thing is the logistics. How do they set it? Where do they set up? I mean, how many at one time? We'll talk about all that next week. We'll get it together.
Okay. Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Jamie, the first thing I wanted to say here as part of our closing is number one to tell you that I admire what you do, my friend. I think it's a great thing to take care of the young men and women and the older ones too, like us, that are coming back from the fight and they're struggling, as we know, and they just need to find out that there's agencies like yours out there, and it's always great to give publicity to such agencies like yours and others, and like Mrs. Pinkham's, because the GIs just have to know that there's out there some help for them, and sometimes they don't look for it, and we got to look for them, and we got to make it available media-wise. Let them know it's there. Let them know you exist. Let them know she exists. Let them know the wonderful retreat that she's doing. I was reading a little bit. An intense weekend of love, support, breakthrough, and healing. My goodness. That's got to be an awesome thing for anyone to attend, but especially those young men and women who are struggling after coming from the fight and seeing the things that they saw. As we know, some of them have seen many things that none of us will ever want to see. And inside, they may be struggling, and you give from the heart. That's the other reason, that I admire what you do. I know we met a few years ago. We were part of the first group of people that went to Panama City as the Emerald Coast Amigos United. That's what we have to give it a name in a sense, right? Because we put together a whole bunch of food trucks, and your Hawaiian shave ice truck, is that the proper name, or Snoko? What I always get
Local Boys Hawaiian Shave Ice. Yes.
Yes,
Local Boys Hawaiian Shave Ice.
Yeah, exactly. And your truck was one of the most popular, man, because the kids, they just went through a freaking tragedy. They just hit by Hurricane Michael, and they saw a snow cone place, a shave ice place in front of them, man, and they just loved being there. I remember I think your son and some other friend, were helping you attend to the families, and we were throwing ice at them, and we had a snow fight. It was awesome, wasn't it?
It was, and I was going to say, if you had mentioned that it's honor for me, and I believe that things go full circle, and this is a perfect example where we met by chance coincidence. We were both going to serve other people outside of ourselves, and now we rotate back, and here we are, 2 or 3 years later, and we're coming together for this event, and then later a future event of yours, just to reach people. So it shows that if you're carrying your heart's in the right spot, good things will find you.
Sorry, because
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another version of Eye on Okaloosa. I've got this eye on Okaloosa, this eye on everything that's in this studio and that. So I'll need your help with your eyes. Let me know if you see something that you find interesting that you would like us to do a show on. If this is your very first time tuning into Crestview Community Television, I encourage you, please follow our page. We are nearing 37,000 followers between my personal page and this page, business page, and we're trying to get to 50 by the end of the year. I promise you, follow our page. I will not barrage you with constant contact emails. I'm not going to link you in or try and link you out or any of that kind of stuff. You won't even know that we exist unless you go to our page and see what kind of interesting things we're doing. So I really encourage you to like our page. David and I do these shows as regularly as we possibly can, so you can be sure that there's going to be another Eye on Okaloosa and another Making Connections with the Connection Media Group the largest Latino group that you're going to find organization between Mobile, Alabama, and Tallahassee. Huge thing. So from me to you, I want to say roll tide and see you later. And David, I'm going to bring you up on the screen here if I could find you. There you are. Go ahead and close it out.
Well, as we like to say when we close Making Connections, all good things must come to an end. This has been a wonderful one again, and I want to thank Ken Nielsen of Crestview Community Television for giving us the platform in this case, because we use his platform, and combining Making Connections interview show with Eye on Okaloosa, a product of Crestview Community Television. And I'd just like to say that Ken looked like an awesome Hollywood director tonight and every night. There's a look to him. I'm going to have to bring him into Making Connections every time as my sidekick or something like that.
Yeah, it's a mask. It's my COVID mask, I think, that I'm wearing, you know.
This has been another edition of Making Connections. Thank you for watching. Please
Awesome.
follow us
COVID
on
mask.
YouTube. Making Connections is broadcast, and we have it through the Conexión YouTube page. We are also on Facebook and all the different social media sites that are out there, except TikTok. Because a friend of mine keeps trying to convince me to go into TikTok, and for whatever reason, I don't like TikTok. So if you ever see me in TikTok, it's because I succumbed to pressure. But
That's funny, David. I don't like TikTok either because I don't care for that camera angle that you got to have, that vertical stuff. That drives me crazy.
Thank you for watching. Keep taking care of yourselves. Be safe. Be careful with that COVID stuff. It's still going around. Just take care of yourselves, and more importantly, may God bless you. See you next time.
Thank you, folks.